North Korea's decision to send thousands of troops to Russia is causing a stir in the Korean peninsula, with South Korea criticizing the move as an illegal act. South Korea's Defense Ministry spokesperson John Hae-kyu was said to have condemned the action, calling for its immediate halt. It comes as South Korea's spy agency said last week that the North had dispatched 1,500 special forces to Russia's far east for training and that they would likely be deployed for combat in the Ukraine war. The Defense Ministry says the North's involvement in Russia's war is a violation of UN resolutions and called for collective efforts by the international community to condemn the move. South Korea says the troops' deployment poses a serious threat to its national security and safety of its people, adding that the military will take all necessary measures to safeguard the country. And surprisingly, China, North Korea's ally in the region, has weighed in on the situation, urging all parties to push for a de-escalation. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Li Jian says the country's position regarding the Russia-Ukraine war is consistent and clear, calling for the warring parties to commit themselves to a political solution. South Korea has repeatedly claimed that North Korea, a nuclear-armed state, has been supplying weapons to Russia for use in Ukraine, following a military agreement signed between Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un back in the month of June. Well, Russia's responded to both sides of the criticism, saying no one needs to be concerned about its activities in North Korea, saying Pyongyang is a close neighbor and partner. Speaking to reporters, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, who appeared to sidestep questions about North Korean troops' deployment, says the issue deals with the conduct of the special military operation in Ukraine, and such questions need to be addressed to the Russian Ministry of Defense. He says Moscow has a sovereign right to develop ties with North Korea in all areas and develop relations in all spheres. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for a strong reaction from countries that have acknowledged North Korea's increasing involvement in the war in Ukraine. We're in the front lines now. One person has been killed, another 14 injured following Russia's attack in Ukraine's southeastern Zaporizhia region. According to the governor, Ivan Fedorov, Russia struck the city with ballistic missiles and more than 30 houses were damaged. Earlier, the governor said 7 people were injured in the attack and later raised the figure to 14. An eyewitness described the attack as horrible. Ambulances, rescue teams are continuing operations at the scene of the incident to rescue people who might still be trapped under the rubble. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials say at least one civilian has been killed, several residential buildings damaged after Russia attacked the capital, Kiev, with several waves of drones. The overnight strike marks the second in a row. According to the head of Kiev's military administration, Serhiy Popko, air defenses downed 59 of the 116 Russian drones launched overnight, and about 10 drones targeting the capital in several ways and from different directions were destroyed. The attack followed Russian strikes on Kiev and other cities on Sunday, which injured 17 people in a central Ukrainian city. Let's bring in the VOA's Anna Chernikova. She's in Kiev. Anna, great to see you. And the attack on Kiev, could you describe to us how that felt like? Was it more intense than all the other attacks that Russia has carried out against the Ukrainian capital city?
Good evening. Well, I cannot say that it was the worst that Kyiv ever experienced in this war, but it was definitely a big one, and it was definitely a very intense one. I personally heard at least 2 drones passing by my apartment building, and this is a very particular sound that is really impossible to mistake with anything else. And the air defense was also active. It was also visible from my window, basically. And Well, it was quite intense, and this is it's already multiple evenings in a row, multiple nights in a row that Russian forces are attacking the capital as well. So not, I'm just saying that it's not every night that Kiev is under attack, but Ukraine, other cities are under the attack every day. And for the past months, it was just one day for the past 2 months that it was no drone attack or missile attack. So Ukraine is basically constantly under such circumstances.
Well, we're glad you're okay, Anna, because those drone strikes did sound pretty close to you. But we're also seeing renewed attacks on Zaporizhia, the city where Europe's largest nuclear plant is located. For 2 days, there have been a wave of drone attacks. Could the Russian forces be dancing around the possibility of hitting the plant itself?
Well, it's difficult to say for sure. At this point, what we know that a residential building was hit in the city of Zaporizhia, and well, at least the damages were reported of the residential area, and we at this point know that at least 2 people were killed as of now. But what else is important to understand that Zaporizhia is currently under attack, not just with drones and missiles, but also with the aerial bombs, because the front line moved close enough for the guided bombs to be sent there. And the intensity of attacks in the city of Zaporizhia is really high now, much higher than it used to be even half a year ago, even a couple of months ago. And what is also important to mention here that according to number of foreign intelligences and Ukrainian intelligence, Russian forces are taking photos, the satellite photos of Ukrainian nuclear power plants for some time now. And of course, it cannot be considered as direct threat or direct planning of the attack on the nuclear power plants, but it is definitely a message that Russia is sending that, well, look, we're actually into this topic and into this possibility. So, of course, this is taken very seriously here in Ukraine because, according to Ukrainian officials, and this is what Ukrainian society is getting ready to by the Ukrainian officials, that as the heating season is approaching, the heating is about to begin, and Russian forces will try to attack more intensively the energy infrastructure, including possibly nuclear power plants and area around it. So the risk is high. But again, we're not at the point now to say that this is actually under the planning, because we just simply don't know exactly, but we don't have exact confirmation. But the risk is very high.
Yes, and now with the Russian forces receiving extra boost from those North Korean troops that have been sent, Ukraine's concerns about this, as well as everyone else, are rife. Thousands of troops, 1,500 of them, have been sent from North Korea into Russia for training. I mean, that's the reason, the plausible explanation the government gives. But does it sound quite suspicious, Anna, especially to the Ukrainian government, that the relationship between the two of them, North Korea and Russia, as well as what impact it might have on the ongoing war?
Definitely, and Ukrainian officials, and particularly the head of the Ukrainian intelligence, Kyrylo Budanov, he confirmed that North Korean forces troops are on the territory of Ukraine already. Even he mentioned that some of them were already involved in this war, which is currently ongoing for almost 3 years now, and the full-scale war, I mean, and according to him, again, according to Ukrainian intelligence, Russia is planning to have at least 11,000 North Korean servicemen involved. So, and this is a really high risk, not for the escalation, definitely. And this is a very bad signal, not only for Ukraine, but also for the Ukrainian allies, for South Korea, particularly for the US, for the EU, because it's demonstration by Russia that such, such allies as Russian allies like North Korea, like Iran, they do not really hesitate in being involved as deep as sending troops or as deep as sending drones for everyday attacks on the territory of Ukraine. So we do see that this cooperation is getting deeper and deeper, and this is really, a sign that Russia and its allies are actually ready to be involved even more. At least this is what we can analyze from what we see. According to South Korean intelligence, and Ukrainian intelligence also confirms that a couple of servicemen from North Korea have been already killed in Ukraine on the occupied territories in the Donetsk region. Again, we cannot confirm this independently, but this is according to the information which is available. So this is what we know for this moment.
It is interesting that this is happening. I guess, what the concern is that, the troops are coming from North Korea, but Ukraine at the start of this war did also have, some help from allies, especially at the war front. But South Korea does seem more invested in this, in the sense that it has condemned the training of the troops, saying it might result in them being at the forefront of the war. But for Ukraine, does it have a relationship with South Korea? And what is that like?
First of all, addressing the first part of the question, Ukrainian allies are definitely involved, but no troops are involved. So this is very different. And, being involved with, helping Ukraine to defend with weapons is one thing. And another thing is involve international troops, international servicemen, international armies. Basically, this is not what was happening. In terms of the second part of the question, North Korea is acting very aggressively, especially towards South Korea, but also towards the whole world. When North Korea is saying that they have nuclear weapons, they are testing nuclear weapons, and they are ready to use them, as we are hearing for the past for some time now, for the past months, especially, and definitely for South Korea, considering the situation and how the situation between the two countries for quite a long time, and considering that recently the roads were destroyed by North Korea, which are connecting North and South Koreas. This is definitely demonstration of additional aggressive act. And even considering that if we imagine that North Korean troops will be trained on the territory of Russians and come back to North Korea, or will be involved in the war with Ukraine and come back to North Korea, it could also be seen as a kind of a training and preparation for something. But again, we cannot say for sure because we don't have any proofs, direct proofs, right? But it is a sign. It is a sign, and it is a message that the behavior of North Korea is getting more aggressive, and North Korea is ready to be involved deeper into this aggressive mood and into this aggressive actions. And this is definitely should be considered.
Yeah, that's understandable. North Korea is hostile to a lot of nations. But I was asking about Ukraine's relations with South Korea and even China. China is North Korea's ally in the region, and yet it is speaking up against this move of the North sending troops to Russia for training and eventual movement onwards towards the war front. What is Ukraine's relations with China and with South Korea?
With South Korea, Ukraine is keeping the the South Korea is one of the allies in this war for sure, and Ukraine is keeping cooperation, military cooperation, and economic cooperation. So maybe not as much as with some other countries, but still, South Korea is definitely interested in Ukrainian defense because, as we already discussed. North Korea, especially now when North Korea is getting involved. In terms of China, Ukraine is trying to build. I should put it this way, certain relations because China is a long time partner and long time ally, and let's say friend kind of Russia. What I mean under friend is that cooperation between two countries is really getting deeper and deeper, and it's at a scale that we can say that they are allies. Again, especially economic. We don't know exactly about military, but some experts say that military cooperation is also ongoing. So basically, what we can Ukraine is trying to build its own relations with China, and for Ukraine is interested that China stays neutral, or of course, or supporting Ukraine. But at this point, for Ukraine, it's important that China is staying neutral and be in a certain, third party, if we can say that in this war, so not being on the side of Russia.
Pretty interesting perspective, Anna. And just before we go, this will be the part where the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's victory plan comes in. And just wondering how much progress has been made on that. He did present the plan to US President Joe Biden, as well as the presidential candidates in the upcoming elections.
Yes, he did, and he finally presented this plan went public with this plan and presented it to Ukrainian society last week. At this point, we do not hear any, official statements from the allies regarding the plan. The only thing we hear that the plan is being under consideration and under the assessment. So we know that, and according to President Zelensky as well, that he told that the teams of the allied countries are going through the plan and working on real decisions and exact actions to be taken, and so on and so forth. What we also hear is that one of the points of the plan about NATO invitation, immediate NATO invitation for Ukraine for Ukraine, we've heard already that neither NATO nor US show direct support of this point, but again, we don't hear exact official reaction yet. Today, Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense of U.S., is in Kiev, and I've just been to his press conference. He was apparently discussing the plan as well with the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Mr. Umerov. They did not give any insight on that and did not comment that, but what he said clearly is that Ukraine will get the support it needs and the aid it needs to not just survive but also strive. This is what he mentioned during his speech, and he made it quite clear that U.S. will make everything possible to ensure Ukraine has enough on time. But again, I think that we should wait for some time, for some more time to pass, so all the countries who've been presented to this plan, they have enough time to to examine it and to think of what steps could actually be taken in the realistic perspective as well. And because of course we understand that Ukraine would ask for something for many things at once, but we understand that probably it should be done step by step. So what steps are going to be, we'll have to wait for this decision from the allies.
Right, we'll be waiting for developments on that. Anna, thank you again for your reporting, and probably try the bunker next time. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Well, to the Russian President Vladimir Putin this weekend, he welcomed his UAE counterpart, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, in Russia ahead of the BRICS summit. The three-day summit is taking place in the Russian city of Kazan and is expected to begin on October 22nd and end on the 24th. The UAE president said his country is ready to support efforts at finding peace in Ukraine. President Putin says the BRICS group will generate most of the global economic growth in the coming years due to its size and relatively fast growth compared with that of developed Western nations. He hopes to build BRICS, which has expanded to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, as well as Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, as a powerful counterweight to the West in global politics and trade. One person who will not be attending the BRICS summit this year is the Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. His counseled a trip to Russia for the summit following medical advice. He was admitted to the hospital after domestic accident with a blunt wound in the occipital region. The medical team recommended the president avoid long-distance air travel. In a statement, the presidential office said Mr. Lula, who was initially scheduled to depart at 5 p.m. local time on Sunday, will now participate in the BRICS meeting via video conference. India and China have confirmed their leaders will be attending the summit.